Dear audience, now we move to the third and the final session of this enriching Atal AICT sponsored faculty development program, from goals to outcome, designing education for measurable SDG impact. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome our distinguished speaker of the session, Dr. Wan Zuhani Saad, Director, Center for Academic Development and Leadership Excellence, University Putra, Malaysia, one of Asia's top-ranking university renowned for its excellence in teaching, research, and innovation. She is a globally respected academic leader and change catalyst, known for her visionary work in academic development, leadership training, and educational transformation aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals. Her dynamic approach to integrating sustainability into higher education has earned her recognition across global platform. Today's session, capstone workshop, Designing Your Institutional SDG Blueprint, serve as the culminating exercise of this FDP, where participants will apply the insight gained throughout the week to craft actionable strategies for embedding SDGs into their institutional framework. The session, focusing on translating ideas into measurable, impactful institutional practices, ensuring that our university become catalysts for sustainable change. Dr. Zihani previously delivered a highly appreciated session on the second day of the FDP titled Mapping Program and Course Outcome to SDGs, which received exceptional feedback from participants for its clarity, relevance, and practicality. Her ability to bridge academic structure with global sustainability imperative has been truly inspiring. We are privileged to have her once again with us to guide us through this capstone workshop, helping us envision how our institution can evolve into models of sustainability, innovation, and global responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. Wan Zuhani Saad for this transformative and concluding session of our FDP journey. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Dr. Neha, for your kind introduction. May I be allowed to share the screen, please?
Sure, sure.
Thank you very much for having me again today, to all distinguished speakers and participants.
Ma'am,
So,
please try. You can share your screen now.
it's still written, indicate that you are not allowed to share your screen.
Uh, please try now.
Okay. Now I can.
Okay.
Can you share? Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's visible.
Um, Again, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. So the topic, as mentioned by Dr. Neha, designing institutional SDG blueprints. So I'm Wan Zuhainis. I'm from University Putra, Malaysia. I'm very happy to be here this evening. So today, I would like to congratulate the host for organizing this very important milestone of collective journey toward integrating the UNESCO Sustainable Development Goal into the very fabric of our institution. And over the about next 2 hours plus, we will be exploring together how to design, implement, and sustain an institutional SDG blueprint that is both ambitious yet achievable. So today is the culmination of our faculty development program on from goals to outcome, designing the education for measurable SDG impact, and we move theory to practice from aspiration to action. And so let me begin addressing the fundamental question. Why institutional SDG blueprints matter? Why do we need to have an institutional SDG blueprint? The United Nations SDG represent humanity's most comprehensive and ambitious agenda for addressing global challenges. And from the earlier that we discussed, from my talk earlier, we discussed about how institutional can design and by design the sustainable development goal integrated into the curriculum through education for sustainable development, and from poverty to hunger to climate change and inequality. So the 17 SDGs provide a shared framework for action by 2030. And we are now past the midpoint of this timeline, right? And progress has been, I can say, uneven, where, you know, higher education institutions occupy a unique and privileged position in society. We are not, how to say, merely observers of these challenges. We are active participants in shaping, in finding solutions. So through our three core of missions: teaching, research, and community engagement or community services, we have the capacity to contribute meaningfully to every single SDG, from no poverty until the partnerships. So, however, good intentions alone are not enough. It is insufficient. Without strategic planning, clear priorities, and systematic implementation, our efforts risk being fragmented. So it can be duplicative, it can be redundant, so ultimately ineffective. An institutional SDG blueprint will actually provide the roadmap that we need. So designing an institutional SDG is a strategic transformative process. It will align our activities with our mission and strength, gaps, weaknesses, and ensure that coordinations across departments, across faculties, and establish accountability through measurable targets and demonstrate our impact to stakeholders and society. So the question is not whether we should engage with the SDGs, but how we can do effectively and authentically. So that is what we will be exploring together today. So when we look at, before we design our own blueprint, let us understand the global context. Now, universities worldwide are increasingly recognizing their role as agents of sustainable development, their role as change agent, and how knowledge generation through research and innovation. The THE, or the Times Higher Education Impact Ranking, that was launched in 2019, now assess over 1,500 universities across more than 100 countries on their SDGs contribution. And this has created both opportunity and healthy competition, driving institutions to formalize and measure their sustainability efforts. And regional networks have emerged to support this initiative. And the Sustainable Development Solution Network, or SDSN, if you have heard of it, coordinate universities' engagement globally. In Asia Pacific, we have what we call the AP-UN SDSN. So Europe has also established the European University Alliance for Sustainability. And these networks facilitate knowledge exchange, capacity building through education and training, community leadership, collaborative research, and the national governments also increasingly incorporating SDG targets, okay, into higher education policies. Countries like Finland, Japan, New Zealand, and have embedded sustainability requirements into university accreditation and funding frameworks. So what we observe is a clear trend. SDG integration is moving from the periphery to the core of institutional strategy. And this, for example, leading universities are not just treating sustainability as a separate initiative, but as a lens through which all activities are viewed and evaluated. So this would actually create both pressure, but at the same time, opportunities for institutions at all levels. And the good news is that we can learn from pioneers. Not just we can learn from pioneers, we can also work together collaboratively while adapting approaches to our own unique contexts and capacities. Okay, so there are universities um, that are actually ahead of us, and we must accelerate our action through research, through education and innovation to bridge that implementation gap. So let us to design effective SDG blueprints, we must learn from the world leading institution that has already embarked on this journey. Benchmarking allows us to understand better what works and what do not work, and what are the gaps, what challenges arise, and how different institutional contexts shape implementation strategies. We know that from this benchmarking, we can learn, they are the pioneer, and so we can actually learn from them, and they show us a better direction, so that we can learn from these leading universities. So today, I will share with you case studies, okay, from 5 universities, including my university, University Putra Malaysia, that represent different approach and contexts. For example, Arizona State University in the United States, it is a large public universities that have made sustainability central to its identity. And we have the Western Sydney University in Australia, which has developed a contextual framework. And the framework is very comprehensive. It's called the Comprehensive Decadal Strategy Framework, Sustainability Framework, that integrating SDG throughout at all level. And Western Sydney University, Australia has been 2025 and 2026 ranked first in the global THE impact ranking. And University College of London in the United Kingdom, which is a research intensive institution leveraging its global reputation for SDG leadership. Wageningen University in the Netherlands, a specialized institution focusing on food security and environmental sustainability, and University Putra Malaysia, which has also developed a food security blueprint as a model for anchoring SDG focus. So each of these institutions' efforts offers valuable lessons, and as we examine them, I encourage you to think critically about what elements might be adopted to your own institutional context. Okay, and we will be focusing on to these six key dimensions for comparison. The anchor SDGs, which prioritize goals aligned with the institutional strength, the key success factors that the critical elements that drive impact, the governance model, where how together with the coordination mechanism, what are the distinct features or the unique innovation and approaches, partnerships and community and strategic partners, and how these impact and achievements are measured, recognized, and documented. So the first case study, let us begin with the Arizona State University, or ASU. So, which has become perhaps the world's most recognized university for SDG integration. Under the leadership of President Michael Crow, the ASU underwent a fundamental transformative beginning early in 2002, where the university adopted a new, what they call as a new American university model, explicitly designed to serve the public good and address societal challenges. And sustainability became one of the 8 design aspirations that guide all institutional decisions. And what makes ASU's approach distinctive is its whole institution integration of sustainable development goal. At every level, the university established what they call as the Julian Wrigley Global Futures Laboratory, where a transdisciplinary research institute bringing together faculties from across discipline and to address complex sustainability challenges. And they created School of Sustainability, which is actually the first of its kind in the United States, and offering undergraduate, postgraduate program and explicitly focus on sustainable development. And ASU embedded sustainability learning outcomes across all degree programs. So not just in environmental or social sciences or health sciences, but engineering students learn about sustainable design, business students study about circular economy models. So even fine arts or language programs incorporate sustainability themes. So the university also transformed its campus operations. Now, ASU achieved carbon neutrality in 2025 and diverted over about 70%, okay, over 70% of waste from landfills, and integrated sustainability into procurement, construction, and transportation policies. So critically, ASU measure and reports its progress transparently, and the university consistently ranks the top 5 globally in the THE impact rankings, and publishes details sustainability reports with qualitative and quantitative data on impacts, outputs, and outcomes. So the lessons from ASU are clear. Leadership commitment at the highest level is essential. Sustainability must be integrated into core institutional processes and not treated as an add-on or a single initiative. Transdisciplinary collaboration is necessary to address complex challenges, and transparent measurement, okay, and reporting build credibility and drive continuous improvement. Okay, case study number 2 is Western Sydney University, okay, in Australia. And the framework is called the core framework. And they have this what they call as Sustainability and Resilience 2030 Decadal Strategy. Western Sydney University in Australia, they provide uh, another compelling model, particularly relevant for institutions in rapidly developing regions. And this university serves one of Australia's most diverse and fastest growing regions with significant socio-economic challenges. And the university explicitly positioned itself as an anchor institution committed to regional development and social mobility. So in 2021, this university launched what they call as Sustaining Success 2021-2026 with sustainability as the key guiding principle. It is actually a comprehensive strategy integrating the SDGs throughout. And the strategy identifies 6 strategy priorities: transforming lives through education, research excellence with impact, global outlook and engagement, thriving and sustainable campus, vibrant culture and community, and enabling excellence through people and systems. So, what is particularly instructive about Western Sydney University approach is how they operationalize these priorities. For each strategic goal, they identify specific SDGs, and that specific SDG alignments establish measurable targets with baseline data. And these actually will be assigned clear governance responsibility and allocated dedicated resources. So if you look at the core framework curriculum, operations, research, and engagement, right? For example, if you look at transforming lives through education, the strategy, the university committed to increasing participants or participation of students from low socio-economic backgrounds by 20%. That which is actually aligning with SDG 4 on quality and access to education, and SDG 10, which to reduce inequalities. So they established scholarships, monitoring programs, or mentoring programs, pathways, partnerships. This is through this core framework with other regional schools. And they also committed to net zero carbon emission by 2030. So aligning with SDG 13 climate action, and they invested in renewable energy infrastructure, sustainable building design, and behavior change campaign. So the university also established a dedicated sustainability office that reporting directly to the Deputy Vice Chancellor and ensuring high level oversight and coordination. And they created cross-functional working groups, bringing together academic and professional staff to implement initiatives. So, and this university, when you should Google their reports, they have a very comprehensive sustainability report, which is especially the 2024 sustainability report that demonstrates the impact of these approaches. And the university achieved significant progress on most targets identified as areas that requiring additional attention for quality improvement and adjusted strategies based on the evidence. So the key lesson from Western Sydney University's initiative for SDG is anchor your SDG blueprint in your institutional mission and regional context. So establish clear, measurable targets, okay, with baseline data and timeline that ensures strong governance with dedicated resources and capacity and accountability, and report progress transparently. Again, we can see how the similarity between Western Sydney University and just now with the ASU report transparently, celebrating successes while acknowledging the challenges. Now, case study number 3 is UCL, or University College London in the Europe. And UCL represent a different model which focus on research, mission-oriented innovation approach, policy that research intensive, globally ranked institution leveraging its reputation and resources for SDG leadership. And UCL's approaches centers on research excellence and policy influence. So the university identified specific SDGs. We know that we are targeting like the whole 17 SDGs are being addressed. But for some of the universities, although they are addressing the 17 goals, but they have allocated or dedicated main the more crucial or specific SDGs where its research strength and global partnership position it for maximum impact. So for UCL, they have chosen SDG 4 and SDG 13, but also include SDG 3, which is on health, and SDG 11 on sustainable cities, and of course SDG 13, the climate action, and SDG 16 for peace and justice. So if you look at just now the earlier 2 universities, UCL also established interdisciplinary research institutes and centers focused on these priority areas. For example, the UCL Institute for Global Health, okay, there is a center for the Institute for Global Health where brings together researchers from medicine, public health, social sciences, engineering, to address health challenges in low and middle income countries. So the UCL Institute for Sustainable Resources focus on energy, water, and mineral resources. So the universities also created the what they call as UCL Grand Challenges Program. So it is a competition which funds large-scale transdisciplinary research projects addressing complex societal problems aligned with the SDGs. And recent projects include sustainability cities, global health, human well-being, and cultural understanding. And in education, UCL integrated SDGs theme across its curriculum through the UCL Connected Curriculum Framework, which ensure that all students engage with research and real-world challenges. And they have developed or established the comprehensive ESD toolkit, Education for Sustainable Development toolkit for all faculties. Remember from my first talk that I shared with you about education for sustainable development, UCL has developed a very comprehensive toolkit for all faculties. So the UCL approaches to community also engagement emphasize knowledge and exchange and policy impact. So the university works closely with government agencies, partnership with international organizations, NGOs, industry partners to translate all these research into policies and practice. And researchers in UCL regularly advise the UK government, the United Nations, and the WHO, World Health Organization, on sustainability issues. And UCL also prioritize public engagement using its location in the central London to host public lectures, awareness, exhibitions, and dialogue forums on SDG related topics. So this model, okay, demonstrate that research intensive universities can leverage their strengths for SDG impact through strategic focus on areas where of research excellence, interdisciplinary collaboration through institutes and centers, strong partnerships with policymakers and practitioners, and commitment to translating research into real world impact. So that's the lesson learned from UCL, where research excellence can drive policy influence and curriculum transformation through mission-oriented framework and systemic change. Now, case study number 4, Wageningen University and Research, or WUR, located in Netherlands, offers a model specialized institutional focus. As a university that has been established itself as the global leader in agriculture and dedicated to life sciences and agriculture, Wageningen has built its entire identity around contributing to food security and environmental sustainability. So Wageningen's mission statement, if you look at their vision statement, is to commit to exploring the potential of nature to improve the quality of life. So the university focuses primarily on SDG 2, which is zero hunger, and SDG 12, responsible consumption and production, SDG 13, climate action, and SDG 14, life below water, and SDG 15, life on land. So this focus approach allows Wageningen to achieve depth rather than breadth. So the university has become a global leader in agricultural innovation, sustainable food systems, climate adaptation, and biodiversity conservation. So its research portfolio is entirely aligned with the SDG priorities, and major research programs include climate smart agriculture, circular food systems, nature-based solutions for climate adaptation, sustainable aquaculture, and biodiversity restoration. So this university works closely with farmers, food companies, government agencies, and international development organization to ensure that research addresses real world needs, okay, and is implemented at scale. And Wageningen researchers, they are involved in agriculture development projects in over 100 countries. So, and not just in research and food system approach, it also in education. Wageningen program also integrate sustainability principles. So students gain both theoretical knowledge and practical skills through internship, apprenticeship, through field research and collaborative project with external partners. And it also operates experimental farms, okay, and research facility where new technologies and practices are tested before being disseminated to the farmers and the industry. So the university's impact is evident in its global reputation, and this university has consistently ranks as the world top university for agriculture and forestry, and it's regularly cited in the international policy discussion and food security and climate change. So the lesson learned from Wageningen University and research are particularly relevant for specialized institution. Focus on anchor SDGs, align with your institutional strength again and mission, build deep expertise and global reputation in priority areas, ensure that research addresses real world challenges, real world needs through strong partnerships, and integrate sustainability throughout education, research, and operations. Okay, the last but not least, University Putra Malaysia, my university now is anchoring as the national anchor institution for agriculture and food security. So we have developed a food security blueprint as a model for anchor the SDG focus. And UPM has a long history in agricultural research and education, dating back to its founding since Agriculture College in 1971. So building on this legacy, the university identified food security as the true north and as its anchor SDG focus. Again, SDG 2 or zero hunger, aligning with this SDG 2 zero hunger, but also connecting to SDG 1, no poverty, SDG 3 on health, SDG 12 on responsible consumption, and of course, SDG 13, the climate action. And UPM Food Security Blueprint that was launched in 2024 provides a comprehensive framework for coordinating the university's contribution to food security locally, national, and also at global level. Now, the blueprint is structured around 4 strategic pillars, or the core, what we call the core, the 3 strategic pillars, the core thrust, which is actually the academic excellence, impact on research and innovation, and also community and industry engagement. So in research and innovation, focusing on climate resilient crops, sustainable farming system, food safety and nutrition, and agricultural technology. In education and capacity building in academic excellence, integrating food security themes across relevant programs, okay, not just in agriculture program, but across all programs, including language, Islamic studies, for example, and offering specialized courses and degrees and providing training also, extension for the farmers and agriculture extension workers. And of course, in policy engagement to food security strategies and participating in international and global and local forums. So community engagement and knowledge transfer, working with smallholder farmers to improve productivity, establishing demonstration farm and learning centers, and promoting sustainable food consumption. So The blueprint establish and clear governance through Food Security Steering Committee, chaired by our Deputy Vice Chancellor of Research and Innovation. And we are targeting, according to the FAO, um, 4 target impacts, which is better production, better nutrition, better environment, and better life. This is also aligned with our Malaysian national policy, Malaysian national agro-food policy, and Food Security Policy Action 2021-2025, which demonstrating how institutional SDG blueprints can align with the national priorities. And UPM measures progress through specific key performance index, and including number of food security research publications, citations, research funding secured for food security projects, and number of farmers trained, for example, and adoption rates for recommended practices, and contribution to the national core food securities. And if you look, from the besides the core thrust of academic excellence, community industry engagement and research innovation, there are also enablers, which are the governance, efficiency, talent availability, collaboration and global network, financial sustainability, advancement in infrastructure and infrastructure, and also strategic communications. Besides the core thrust, okay, there are the what we call as outcome thrust, excellence of graduate and agripreneur. Now, agripreneur, we highlight the agripreneur. So we not just entrepreneur, because the UPM targeting graduates to become agripreneur, empowerment of farming communities, and applicability of technology and innovation. So the UPM experience demonstrates that even institutions with limited resources can achieve significant impact by focusing strategically on anchor SDGs, which is actually like this is for SDG 2, align with the capacity and strength, developing comprehensive blueprint with clear governance and resources, and engaging multiple stakeholders from government to farmers, measuring and communicating impact transparently. So this is the blueprint of food security, which I am the lead author for this blueprint. And the whole framework, okay, the full framework for the UPM food security blueprint, where our mission is to UPM as a leading university for national food security with international reputation. And again, with the 3 core thrusts, the 6 enabler thrusts, and the 3 of the outcome thrusts, as mentioned earlier. So based on this benchmarking, we did I did the comparative analysis, which will when we examine the 5 institutions, right? So we want to compare these approaches so that we can identify common success factors and contextual variations. So all 5 institutions, ASU, Western Sydney, UCL, Wageningen, and UPM, all 5 of these institutions demonstrate strong leadership commitment, okay, whether through transformational precedent like ASU, strategic planning processes like Western Sydney universities, or mission-driven focus like UCL and Wageningen. Leadership at the highest level is essential for successful SDG integration. And all institutions establish clear governance structures. ASU created the global Futures Laboratory, remember? And then Western Sydney University has established the Sustainability Office. UCL formed Interdisciplinary Institute. Vanagon built its own entire structure around sustainability, and UPM created a food security blueprint. So governance ensure coordination, structured accountability, and sustained attention. And all institution adapted whole institution approaches, integrating SDGs across education, research, operation at all level, and also community engagement. And none of these institutions treated sustainability as a separate initiative, disconnected from the core activities. Okay, so I believe that's one of the crucial or main character of the key success factor. And all institutions establish partnerships with external stakeholders. And universities cannot achieve, I can guarantee you that university cannot achieve the SDGs alone. Collaboration with the government, agencies, NGOs, industries, civil society, and communities is essential for both relevance and also impact. And all institutions measure and report progress. So when you have the nice framework, nice blueprint, it is crucial to have to monitor the progress and report transparently, whether through the THE impact ranking, sustainability reports, or specialized dashboards, or transparent measurement that drives improvement and demonstrates accountability. However, we also observed important contextual variation among these 5 institutions. Institutional type and mission shape the approach. So large comprehensive universities like ASU and Western Sydney can pursue multiple SDGs, while specialized like Vanagon focus deeply on fewer goals. Research intensive like universities like UCL emphasize research excellence and policy influence, while teaching focused institution may prioritize curriculum integration and student engagement. So regional context matters. Western Sydney's focus on social inclusion that reflects its diverse developing region, and UCL leverages its location in the center of London, global city, and proximity to policymakers. And Vanagon benefits from the Netherlands agricultural innovation ecosystem. So UPM addresses food security challenges specific to tropical agriculture and developing economies. So resources availability influence this ambition and timeline. The key insight is that there is no single a correct approach to SDG integration. Effective blueprints are tailored to institutional context while incorporating common success factors. So our task is to learn from these examples while designing a blueprint authentic to our own or to your own institution. Okay, so let's look at the framework when designing the blueprint. So we drawing from the global best practices, we present a comprehensive 5-phase framework to guide your institutional through the strategic process of designing, implementing, and sustaining the impactful blueprint. So based on the global practices and the case studies that we have examined, the framework for designing the institutional SDG blueprint provide should provide a comprehensive addressing all aspects of SDG integration, strategic alignment, and anchor SDG selection. Okay, that is where we assess and analyze what will be the institutional baseline assessment and stakeholder mapping. And then we have to, through governance and leadership, through curriculum integration, campus operation and sustainability, that will actually show the implementation and integration. And community engagement and partnership will also will be emphasized. Measurement, reporting, and accountability, and also the most, for me, I believe one of the most important pillar to in the framework is capacity building and change management. Okay, so the guiding principle, each of these will address a critical dimension of SDG integration. And together they form a holistic framework, ensuring that your blueprint is strategic, comprehensive, and sustainable. And if you look at the six guiding principle for blueprint design, it has to be aligned with the institutional identity, strength, and local context. It has to be aligned with your vision and mission. And the ground decision in data, you have to be supported by baseline data, research, and measurable indicator. Engage with all the stakeholders in co-creation and ownership and design, continuous learning, feedback, and evolution. Embed across curriculum, research, and operation. And also, we will look at how, best practices and practical steps for implementation, so that we can focus on tangible outcomes and transformative change. And if we look at the phase one is assess, analyze, and define strategic direction. So in the institutional baseline assessment, okay, that will be the foundation of strategic alignment and governance, where the first and most critical step is developing your SDG blueprint, is conducting a comprehensive institutional assessment. You must understand your current state. Where are we? Where are you? Okay. What is your current state before charting your future direction? And this assessment should examine your institutional mission and strategic priorities, existing research strength, and areas of expertise. Okay, and current curriculum, for example, current curriculum content, learning outcomes, campus operations, and sustainability performance. All those are community engagement activities and partnerships, and stakeholders, expectation, and external context. So based on this assessment, then you should identify your anchor SDGs. So the 3 to 5 goals where your institutions has the greatest capacity, and then the opportunity for impact. So anchor SDGs must be aligned with your institutional mission and values. So the key question to answer: what SDG related work that are ongoing? Okay, so that you can actually build your existing strengths, build on your existing strength and expertise, and you can actually address stakeholder needs and regional challenges that will be more achievable given your resources and capacity. And selecting SDGs or your anchor SDGs does not mean ignoring other goals, because rather it provides strategic focus while recognizing that the SDGs are interconnected. And your anchor SDG work will likely contribute to multiple goals simultaneously. Okay, so again, need to identify you have to must have that baseline data, baseline assessment. And when you once you have identified your anchor SDG, then you must establish the governance, okay, that structures to coordinate and oversee the implementation. And effective governance and leadership, okay, will require visible leadership commitment from the president, from the management, from the vice chancellors or rector, from senior leaders that must champion the SDG agenda, allocate resources, and hold the institution accountable. So again, you should have a very structured governance. Perhaps, the SDG steering committee or sustainability council with representation from all faculties, professional services, students, and external stakeholders. And this body provides strategic oversight, coordinates activities, and reports to senior leadership. And when you have all these governance structure, perhaps you appoint a sustainability officer, and which actually will dedicate the time and resources to manage day-to-day implementation and support the working group. So this will actually create cross-functional working group focused on the specific pillars or SDGs, okay, and bringing together academic and professional staff to implement initiative. So again, identify the resources available and feasibility, which actually this will integrate the SDG commitments into institutional policies, strategic planning, and implementation of. At the same time, you will be able to manage the performance through performance management system, and to ensure that sustainability beyond the individual champion. So when you have that governance and coordination aligned, the structured governance, then you will be able to develop the coordination mechanism, okay, and then we'll be able to develop specific initiatives through the action plans, and able to allocate resources, okay, not just in terms of the financial resources, but also human resources for implementation, okay. And it's very important in change management that each and every single person in your institution would be each and every person in your institution is aware, understand, and internalize the importance of this direction. Okay, so I strongly believe that the 4 pillars for institutional integration of SDG is through curriculum, research, operations, and engagement. Of course, in curriculum, we will be looking at the embedding the SDG through program learning outcome, through education for sustainable development, and aligning the research priorities and funding with the anchor SDGs, implement sustainable campus practices and policies, and build partnership with community and stakeholders. Okay, so when we look at the implementation and integration, looking at how planning and executing the initiative that embed across operation through 4 pillars just now: curriculum, research innovation, campus operation, and also community engagement. And we will be we had discussion earlier on the curriculum integration through education for sustainable development, and how implementation of sustainable practices through green technology in energy, water, waste, and procurement, for example, and also initiative that set target that is measurable for carbon neutrality, circular economy, and resource efficiency. And there are also initiatives that look into the green campus infrastructure or engaging campus community in sustainability initiative and programs. Research and innovation focusing on a research program that align with the anchor SDG and allocate funding for an incentive for SDG focused research. Also establish interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary research centers and lab, and also developing partnerships with industry, government, and communities for applied research, or what we call as translational research, research that been translated to the community. And we want to be able to build the strategic partnership with the local communities, government, and also civil society. And I strongly support and advocate for service learning program, where students able to apply the knowledge what they learn in the classroom to the community through service learning. And extension services, training and capacity building, and also how we can work together collaboratively to solve problems and issues with stakeholders and issues on local SDG challenges, right? So the 4 critical success factors for implementation is, again, our leadership, commitment, and visible support, adequate resource allocation and funding, capacity building and staff development, and continuous communication and engagement. Okay? So the final part for in developing a blueprint is establishing the robust monitoring and evaluation system. This is very, very important. You can have a very well structured blueprint for SDG, but if you do not have, or if you do not develop a monitoring and evaluation system to track progress and to measure the achievement and impact, and you should and you do not report transparently and continuously adapt and the blueprint based on the evidence and learn at the same time, the blueprint will just be a blueprint, just a document. Okay, so this development of evaluation system and monitoring the progress is to track progress against what the target and indicator, what we call as the tracking measures. What indicators, what initiative, what are the key performance indicators that you have designed in your action plan, in the blueprint. So it has to be through data collection and conduct the regular progress review, engagement, the discussion with the stakeholders, and reporting through published document, annual report, sharing the best practices, sharing success stories and case studies and lesson learned publicly, and also engage media and communication for visibility and accountability. And there are so many approaches, diverse approaches that we can actually communicate the progress. For example, through forum, through symposiums, or develop certain index that you can measure the impact. And of course, there are certain matrices that you can develop. For example, like curriculum, perhaps identify how many percentage of courses or programs that have transformed uh, based on SDGs, or research SDG that is aligned, SDG aligned publication, or carbon emissions reduction through the operation, and also numbers of community partnerships that have been developed. So this continuous evaluation cycle, you know, when you review the data and set improvement priorities and implement changes and new initiative, and you check again, you monitor the result and evaluate the effectiveness and the impact, and of course to adapt the blueprint based on the evidence and learning. So that's the plan, do, check, action framework as part of the continuous evaluation cycle, right? And we do acknowledge challenges, okay? Challenges during or before, during, and after implementation. And there are common implementation challenges like limited resources and competing priorities, right? But we always advise or encourage to start small with pilot projects, right? And leveraging existing, use the existing, again, to identify existing initiatives strengths and build on the existing capacity that will increase through the momentum, and also seek external funding through grants and partnerships. So what gets measured gets managed, right? So without robust measurement system, we cannot track the progress, right, and demonstrate impact. So implementing SDG blueprint requires significant organizational change, and lack of awareness and buy-in for change management is one of the, for me, is one of the hardest part in implementing or make that something new. So we need to invest in communication campaign, for example. We provide comprehensive professional development for faculty and staff, right? And demonstrate, so that, you know, we can demonstrate the tangible benefit, and to identify champions at all level, from the staff, from the academic, from the faculties, okay, to build the grassroots support. And this is for operational sustainability. And this will actually create communities of practice where people can share experiences and learn from peers. Now, we need to build on a coalition of SDG champions across all levels and departments. We cannot work in silo, okay? So, and also cannot work in fragmented efforts. So that's why we create cross-functional teams that will support the changes that is more likely to succeed when driven by distributed leadership rather than the top-down mandates. And this will establish coordination mechanism and incentivize collaboration, and communicate consistently and compellingly about SDG integration matters and how it will actually benefit all stakeholders. So, of course, you know, through measuring and adopting existing framework like from the SDSN or THE impact ranking, that will help to build data and collection and capacity over time. And we use multiple channels and format to reach different audiences. And of course, it needs a long-term commitment through SDG is being embedded into the institutional policies, strategic plan, and performance management system, addressing resistance to change through transparent dialogue, involvement in decision making, and demonstration of benefits, will actually understand better that resistance often stems for legitimate concern, which they may not even understand what the crucial needs for this SDG initiative, right? And there are current or existing tools and resources like the SDS and University SDG Guide with a comprehensive framework that will help you to kickstart the getting started with SDGs in university. That will cover the governance, curriculum, research operation, and also reporting. And of course, the impact ranking framework, which is actually a global performance framework that assess universities against the SDGs and providing the benchmark data and indicator for measurement. And Education for Sustainable Development UNESCO ESD Toolkit is also part of the resources, very comprehensive resources to integrate the sustainability competencies into the curriculum and pedagogy across discipline. And the AASHE, the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education, STARS rating system, which is actually a framework that measure sustainability performance in higher education, and that covers the academic operations, engagement, and planning. So I hope everybody is still there and everybody is okay.
Yes, ma'am, please continue.
Thank you. So now we need to move all these challenges to action. So we know that every institution will face obstacles, will face challenges, but successful SDG leaders will need to view these challenges as opportunities for innovation. And we start where you are, that we use what you have and build this momentum through early wins and stakeholders engagement. So I may go briefly again on education for sustainable development, that empower learners with knowledge, skill, values, attitude to address interconnected global challenges, for our learners to make informed decisions, to take action for sustainable future, right? And focusing on the cognitive, social issue, emotional and behavioral dimension, that with 8 key competencies for sustainability. Based on the 8 key competencies, in order to implement this ESD in higher education, we need to integrate sustainability across all disciplines and programs. We need to adopt learner-centered and transformative pedagogy, which will need to connect our classroom to the real-world challenges, foster interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary approaches, and develop a partnership with community stakeholders, and model that sustainability in campus operation and culture. So very brief again, just to highlight again the 8 key competencies, where systems thinking, anticipatory thinking, normative competence, strategic thinking, collaboration, critical thinking, self-awareness, and integrated problem solving, where which actually complement formal curriculum with co-curricular co-curricular opportunity. So how this integrating this ESD competency is important in your SDG blueprint. Remember the 4 pillars: curriculum, research, operation, and community. So again, to support sustainability initiatives focusing on student organization and leadership program, and also in the curriculum design, we need to be able to map the ESD competency with the learning outcomes, and also in designing your SDG blueprint, you should be able to develop the assessment tool, right? And all this embed needs to be strategized in the blueprint. So in ESD implementation strategy, at the level of institutional and policy governance, we embed ESD principle into the mission and vision and strategic plans of the institution. So where we develop the committee, and it should be in the policy framework and guidelines. Okay. Of course, in the curriculum is about redesigning the learning outcome, the contents, and also the pedagogy. And for that to happen, we need to redesign our courses. We transform the capacity or the capacity building for educators to ensure that the SDG is effectively communicate and implement in the learning environment. So we are actually creating the community of practice in the faculties, so that this we can inculcate sustainability, instill the knowledge, the skills, attitude, and the values in at every level. So again, map the existing ESD content and identify the gaps, develop the framework and the learning outcome, deliver it in a innovative way, and share the success, the best practices across the program, and evaluate the impact and refine continuously, right? So for if you look at when we want to design, okay, if you were to do this in your faculty or in your institution, so remember to assess where we are now. Where are we now? Again, institutional self-assessment is very important. And you need to conduct baseline assessment of your institution with the current SDG related activities, okay, and identify the gaps that across key domains. This exercise in your institution will help you to identify where is the starting point and what opportunities that your institution for your institution to develop the SDG blueprint. And if you're able to assess where you are now, then you should look at assess the 4 domains where you are at the curriculum, research, operations, and engagement. This will actually also help you to identify the existing SDG related activities, strengths, and gap. You see, when you assess where you are, so that you will be able to identify your strengths, the gaps, and you work on the existing situation, and then you should be able to have that baseline data to design your direction. And based on your strength and capacity, you need to identify your anchor SDGs. For example, like from my faculty, Faculty of Biotechnology and Biomolecular Sciences, or our policy in University Putra Malaysia is each faculty will need to identify the most two anchor SDGs, two main SDGs. Although, let's say in your program, in your faculty, you can manage, cover many SDGs, but we just want to know we just want to for you to do the reporting for two potential anchor SDGs that align with your faculty's strength and capacity. Okay, and from there, okay, after that you have to uh, uh, this is also based on the how to say, what is your what are your perhaps you have your own sustainability initiative or program that already implementing sustainability initiative, and even if it's not also explicitly framed as SDG related, you know, because you need to identify what are the key sustainability challenges in your faculty that will need your institution to help to address. And based on this preliminary assessment, that will then only you will be able to identify the anchor SDG. And of course, it is important that you need to map your institution with your institutional landscape. Okay. So in order to do that, you need to audit your current activities, identify strength, analyze gap, and map with the stakeholders. Okay. That will give you some what we call as institutional SDG inventory. So you can also do SWOT analysis metrics, right? You can do mapping with key stakeholders roles, and identify the priority areas, right? So these are the guiding principles when you do your assessment. What are the SDG related courses program? That is for curriculum. What sustainable practice already implemented in campus operation? That is for operations. Community partnerships, engagement, institution unique strength, that can also be from research, right? Key champion leaders, resistor, and resources. So this can be, and these are all only examples, okay? Not exhaustive for your guiding question for your assessment, right? And then you can start to develop your blueprint canvas, where identify again the vision statement, the anchor SDG, curriculum, and the other four, remember, governance model, research priority, and measurement of framework. Okay, so what do you think the deliverable from when you brainstorming, what do you think the expected deliverables from each of the group? Will it be in the form of in the form of toolkit, in the form of action plan, okay, in the form of indicators? So each of these canvas, each of these items need to have the outcome, the output, and the outcomes. Okay. And of course, again, I would like to highlight again how the measurement framework is crucial, essential for accountability and continuous improvement. There are several established frameworks that guide your SDG measurement and reporting. You do not need to create your own system from scratch. THE Impact Ranking, for example, is the most prominent global framework for assessing universities' SDGs contribution. You may not be joining the THE Impact Rankings, but if you would be able to to explore and to deep dive the indicators in the THE Impact Rankings, that will actually where they evaluate the universities, the SDGs, uh, uh, partner SDGs goals, and also what are the SDGs choices. Then the metrics will cover on research, teaching, operations, and also outreach. And this would actually provide external validation, facilitate benchmarking, and also increase visibility. Um, this one, star rating, like sustainability tracking assessment and system, which is comprehensively framework developed by AASHE ni, the Association for the Advancements of Sustainability and Higher Education. It covers academics, engagement, operations, planning, and administration. STARS is particularly strong on campus operation, and it is widely used in North America. UI Green Metric. Okay, now UI Green Metric is also a standard that World University Rank will focus on the scoring of the campus infrastructure, energy, waste, transportation, and education. There are also GRI, sustainability reporting standard, that provide comprehensive framework on organizational sustainability reporting that use across sectors. And this GRI standard, Global Reporting Initiative, they are particularly useful if you want your sustainability reporting to align with broader organizational reporting. And of course, we have this SDSN SDG dashboard, which it is a commitment framework for universities and colleges to align with the SDGs. And this also as an annual reporting on the SDG contribution that is used with a common template, right? So there are existing national framework in some countries. For example, like Japan has a national framework for university SDG reporting, and perhaps in India will have your country that has developed such framework. So again, these are but having said that, you may also custom your own framework that is tailored to your institutional context and priorities. And you need to ensure that any custom framework that include quantitative metrics and domains will cover the curriculum, research, operations, and engagement with quantitative metrics, baseline data, targets and timelines, and also there is alignment with at least one recognized framework that facilitate benchmarking. Okay, so of course you have to use the measuring smart KPI design principles. I'm sure that all of you have they are familiar with smart KPI design principle, which is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, where the key is to start measuring, even if it is imperfectly. But many institutions may delay reporting because they want to have perfect data, right? But it is better to start with available data and then improve over time than to wait for perfection that may not even come. So for curriculum and teaching, example KPI, you can even have the number, a percentage of programs that have already embedded with SDG. Like in UPM, by 2026 August, all the programs from diploma until PhD will be embedded with the ESD competencies. Research innovation, consider number of SDGs, align research publication and citation, or research funding that are already secured for sustainability project. Patents, for example, innovation, commercial products, right, with SDG applications and number of policy briefs or advisory contribution to governments. For campus operation, you can track carbon emissions per capita, percentage of renewable energy, waste diversion rate, or percentage of sustainable procurement. And for community engagement, measure number of community partnership with SDG focus, student participating in service learning, okay, SDGs projects, and also knowledge transfers activities and documented community impact. So it's all about your annual report should include an executive summary that highlighting the key achievement and challenges, progress on each KPIs with data visualization, case studies, and stories, okay, illustrating the impact, challenges encountered, and lesson learned. So, and prioritize the targets for the coming year, for example. So make your report accessible and engaging, and not just in data dump. Use infographics, photos, and stories that bring the data to life, and publish it prominently on your website or share it widely with the stakeholders. Okay. And of course, the strategic implementation, it depends on based on your roadmap. Okay. The first year, perhaps you'll be focusing on establishing the foundation for the SDG blueprint. And then the second year is how you can scale up your focusing on the scaling of the successful pilots and integrating SDG throughout the institution. And year 3 is perhaps in you know, achieving, focusing on how achieving systemic change and establishing external recognition and SDG leaders. Okay. And of course, you know, expected the deliverables by year 4, year 5, perhaps including all 100% program coverage of SDG, top quartile of the performance in global SDG ranking and research, policy influence, and recognized center of excellence for anchor SDGs, right? And so again, we need to be realistic, okay? Implementing an SDG blueprint will face challenges, and the most common ones and are, for example, limited resources and competing priorities, budget constraints, staff capacity limitations, competing institutional priorities can hinder implementation. Resistance to change and siloed structures challenge data collection and you know, lack of baseline data or inconsistent system and difficulty in attributing impact, and also initial enthusiasm may wane. Leadership changes and can disrupt continuity, and competing crises may divert attention. So I also shared with you some of the strategic solutions with you that perhaps you know, can be used to overcome the challenges. Of course, you have to solution. I mean, when we start, we have to start with simple, achievable metrics. Okay, that gradually expand. And when we want to make that change, yeah, right? There are these critical success factors, include leadership commitment, stakeholder engagement, integration strategy, capacity building, evidence and communication, and of course, lastly, on the adaptive learning. and that in will successful implementation requires effective change management and stakeholder engagement. Okay, that will use the stakeholder power interest matrix that I'm, that categorize stakeholders and determine engagement series. Those with high power and high interest should be managed closely, and those with high power but low interest should be kept satisfied, right? And these include those like board of trustees and government agencies and major donors. And uh, when we want to build engagement, we need to build with coalition with the champions earlier. And second, we need to communicate vision consistently, develop clear, compelling narrative about the SDG. We need to celebrate early wins, recognize and publicize the quick wins, and of course, we need to provide resources and support to ensure that adequate funding and resources training are all to engage meaningful with SDG initiative. And this is actually to address resistance to change. Okay, there are many type of change, many type of resistance: cognitive resistance, resources, political and emotional resistance, and these resistance, they are very, we need to be able to mitigate, to strategize to mitigate. And the key takeaways from all these is, first, strategic alignment is essential. Second, integration over addition, embed SDG into existing institutional processes, policies, and practices rather than creating parallel structure. You need to use education for sustainable development, ESD, is the foundation. ESD competencies must be integrated into all programs and need to adopt the whole institution approach. Measurement drives improvement. You need to be able to establish clear, smart KPIs that is aligned with the recognized framework, and engage all stakeholders: students, faculty, staff, leadership, and external partners. You need to be able to adopt a phased approach, foundation, year one, and all, right? And learn from global practices. Study and adapt approaches that is from leading institution, as we did earlier. And so the journey uh, to take that action, my friends and my colleagues, we have actually covered a great deal of ground today. And when we want to design a comprehensive framework for designing your institutional SDG blueprint, we need the knowledge alone is insufficient. The real work begins when you return to your faculty, to your departments, and translate what you have learned into action. So let me share a quote that I do believe inspire me is, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Universities have the power, the responsibility, and the opportunity to shape a sustainable future for all. This is by the Eleanor Roosevelt and the UN SDG vision. So your next step are clear. Within a week, within a month, within 6 months, what you have to do. And every institution's journey is unique, but your destination is shared: a sustainable, equitable, and thriving future for all. Together, we can transform higher education into a powerful force for achieving the SDGs by 2030. Okay, so with that, I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was so enriching session, and you guided us very well on how to have a blueprint for the institution pertaining to the SDG. It was highly informative session.
Thank you very much.
Ma'am, I have received the request from the participant if they can have the PowerPoint presentation that you have
Yes,
presented. So it will be like a citing document for them.
I
So they
will
can
share with
use as
you.
a reference document for their institution while
I will,
applying for.
okay, I will share with you, Dr. Neha.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay. Is there any questions?
Is there any question? Ma'am, the participants are writing their feedback on the chat box, expressing gratitude,
Okay, thank you very
acknowledging it
much.
as a highly informative session.
Thank you. I hope it helps.
Yes, it was actually. So thank you so very much, ma'am, for taking time from your busy schedule. And we hope to have you soon here in TMU in India. We would love to host you.
Thank you again. Thank you very much and all the best.
Yes, thank you.
Um,
And soon we are
I
going
look
to have an